welcome to Tim Conley Drums. Well, today, as you can see from my title, I'm here to tell you that unfortunately, the music industry is on a extreme downward plummet. If you go on the top 40 countdown or the top 40 song list, US and Canada, there are no bands listed except for one, and it's Coldplay. And I like Coldplay, but there's no rock bands. Rock music, unfortunately, very sadly, because I love rock music, it's what I grew up on, it's what I've always enjoyed. Rock music is a dead commodity, and it's only going to get worse. Now, why am I going on here doom and gloom? It's not doom and gloom. I'm just giving you guys the facts. Sometimes people don't want to hear bad news. Sometimes you have to hear bad news. Or as in the movie, I can't remember the name of the movie, but I think it's Officer and a Gentleman, I think, where the guy is on the stand and he says, it's the guy from The Shining, Jack Nicholson, and he says, "You can't handle the truth." A lot of people don't want to realize that the music industry has changed dramatically. So far, it has fallen that rock music has just completely gone to the wayside. And the icing on the cake for me was the recent Aerosmith shutting down their tour. Now, I watched a video of their very, very last performance and their last song, Walk This Way, and to me, I teared up watching that because when it was over, they brought a cake out for Joe Perry. It was his birthday. Fantastic. They really look like old men in Aerosmith, and I just thought, oh man, this is... When Aerosmith shuts it down, which they did, this was the end for me. It's only going to get worse because eventually all the rock bands that are currently touring, including the Rolling Stones, I know it's hard to believe, but they're all eventually going to shut down. In reality, the current existing classic rock bands, say from, 1988, 1990 even if you want to call it, and back, all those bands are done in the next 10, 12, 15 years. That's all we got left. After that, there is no more rock bands, which absolutely breaks my heart. Now, some people will say, well, there is rock music out there. There's all kinds of new metal bands. And while I think I love metal music, even extreme metal, Cannibal Corpse, Infant Annihilator, I mean, those bands are extreme and they're keeping it real. But popular, a little bit more commercial rock music such as Zeppelin and Deep Purple and even the Beatles for that matter, bands like that are gone. They no longer exist. Songwriting, it just doesn't exist anymore. If you look at the lyrical content, and I've analyzed the top 40, and I've listened to all the songs painfully, they're all terrible. Terrible. There's nothing. They're all writing about nonsense. There's nothing that grabs your heart. There's nothing that grabs your soul. It's soulless music. Now, I can't play any of it here because of the copyright issues. But just go on, USA Top 40 or Canadian Top 40 or whatever country you're from, check out your Top 40 and listen to some of the music, and you will agree with me after you listen to it. If you're 20 years old, you're going to agree with me, because even though the 20-year-olds didn't live through what I lived through at almost 60, my son is 18 and he understands that. He listens to the Eagles and the Beatles and all the music of yesteryear and he thinks it's amazing. But when he listens to stuff today, There's a few artists that are trying to keep it alive, but it's a dying breed. And young people today are being robbed because there's no integrity in the music. There's no lyrical content. Country music, to some degree, is still keeping it alive. To some degree. Now, I know you die-hard country people are going to disagree with me, but country music, to some degree, is keeping it alive, but then it's starting to die as well. Now, not necessarily country music starting to die, but the country music as a form of rock is starting to die. Country music is now picking up pop and R&B type vibes and using the dreaded trap beat and drum machines. Country music artists of yesteryear would roll over in their grave hearing these trap beats and drum machines in some of the modern country. It's just terrible. Now, AI is also partially to blame. If you want to hear a really great someone talking about AI, and I'm not really going to get into the AI part of it too much in this video, but if you want to listen to someone talking about how AI has infiltrated the music scene and is destroying music as we know it, check out Bad Brad's newest video, because he talks about that a lot more than what I'm going to talk about it. But I have to say that I completely 100% agree with Bad Brad. AI, they're going to take over all the writing. AI is taking over the music itself. Everything in music nowadays is coming out of a laptop. It's not coming out of an instrument. This beautiful instrument here behind me, these drums, sadly, it's a dying breed. Now, I'm on the tail end of it. Like I said, I'm almost 60 years old. I've got a few more years left, hopefully. I'm going to keep playing. There's no doubt about that. I'm going to try to do my share to keep it alive. But another thing that absolutely broke my heart in regards to my instrument and other musicians playing other instruments is the school that I went to for music, Mohawk College in Hamilton, Ontario, shutting down its music program. And this really breaks my heart. As a matter of fact, McMaster University is also revamping its music program. I'm not sure. Somebody told me recently that they're not completely shutting it down, but they're revamping it. Now, I understand that, if you're in a music program and you're studying to be a musician, you've got to move with the times. Mohawk College has decided that there's no money in the program anymore. They're just not getting people signing up to learn how to play jazz. Jazz, sadly, another beautiful, beautiful art form in music. It's also dead. It's been dead for quite some time. Now, there's always hardcore people that will put jazz out, jazz fusion, rock in collaboration with other genres of music. I mean, there's always going to be people that are going to try and keep it going. And my hat goes off to those people, because some of us have to do what we got to do to try to keep it alive. But what I'm talking about is the big picture, which is the music scene that's generated to the masses, to the public. It is a dying breed for rock music. There are no more rock bands infiltrating the top 40 compared to, say, 1975, 1980, 1985, the amount of rock bands that were still storming the top 40 and were still generating amazing songs. Now, Tommy Aldridge, the drummer from Ozzy and Whitesnake, I had the pleasure of attending a clinic that he was giving, and then I attended his master class, and then after his master class, I got invited out to dinner. Fantastic. When we were at dinner, Tommy Aldridge basically said that don't let the industry tell you what music is good and what music is bad. And I totally agree with him 100%, because one of my favorite bands, which is Porcupine Tree, they put an album out not long ago, like maybe a year ago. And also, I I think Dream Theater is coming out with a new album, and also Tool put in a new album out, and they hadn't put an album out for a long, long time. So these are bands that I really love because progressive rock music is actually my favorite genre of music. So some progressive rock artists are still keeping it alive. And Tommy's advice, man, when I heard him say, don't let the industry dictate what's good music, I thought, he is telling the truth. Man, that is so true. Enjoy what you enjoy. Now, Porcupine Tree, Tool, Dream Theater, have they ever been in top 40? No, and they probably never will. My favorite band of all time is Rush. I think they had one charted tune, which was Closer to the Heart, and I think it charted at either number 6 or number 8 back in the 80s. I can't remember the exact statistics, but that's the only hardcore progressive rock band that I can think of that's ever charted. Now, I know you guys are going to say, oh, Genesis did this, Peter Gabriel did this. I know there's probably others. I'm just talking about from the music that I follow and music that I like. Rush is the only band that's ever charted. So, in other words, it doesn't matter about being in the top 40. Like the music that you like. But if you look at the mass perception of music and the way that the industry is going, it's making it more and more difficult for even bands, big bands, like Dream Theater and Porcupine Tree and Tool that are currently active touring bands. It's very difficult for them to earn money from sales because they're just not being played. They never get played on the radio hardly at all. I mean, they do, not so much Porcupine Tree. I know Dream Theater and Tool get played on the radio, but not to the same degree, say, that rock music like Guns N' Roses and Motley Crue gets played on the radio. So those bands are still trying to keep it alive, and I'm so grateful. I love them. I try to support live music. That's the next thing I'm going to talk about, is to keep rock music somewhat alive in your world, like Tommy Aldrich said, in your world. Go and see these bands, because let's be honest, like I just said, when all of these bands are getting older and older, the music, and there's just no new bands sort of taking over for them. When it's all said and done, 10, 15 years from now, you're not going to hear any of this or see any of these fantastic musicians live anymore. You're just going to see a guy up there with a computer, or not even singing necessarily. I don't know what's going to happen to music. I just see the future of music as being very dark and bleak. And some of you are going to say, oh, you're a downer and this and that. Again, it's not being a downer. It's being realistic. And I'm seeing it because I'm in the industry. I talk to people. I'm in studios. And I talk to some very, very in the know kind of people. So there's a very famous Canadian guy, used to have a radio show on the radio station CFMY. 102.1 The Edge is what it's called now here in Canada. But Alan Cross had this amazing show talking about the history of music, and specifically the history of rock music, and Alan's perception of the way that the music industry is going. And I'm sure that a lot of guys that are in the know, Alan's a brilliant, brilliant guy. Guys that are in the know and in Alan's league and have his knowledge, extensive knowledge of the history of music, and they can see like a crystal ball where the music is going. And unfortunately, the music is going, AI is going to be generating songs. Hey, AI, can you play me a drum beat? Change this beat to this, change the beat to that. This is going to be gone. AI, write me a song, I'm sad. Write me a song about my girlfriend. Write me a song about my car, whatever. All music is going to have this, so nobody's going to come up with any original ideas. It's just going to be these robots taking over, just like what was predicted in the 80s, in the 70s, the 60s, even with the Jetsons cartoons in the 60s. all projecting that robots would eventually take over. Unfortunately, I see it. I see it now coming to fruition. And it really breaks my heart because the future for my grandkids in music is just not looking good. I don't know how to solve it. All I can say to you, all you people out there that agree with me, is keep the music alive. Keep listening to the music that you love. Dad's music, as some of my commenters have stated that I'm playing dad's music. Well, dad's music is the best music. I don't care what you say, because I haven't heard anything on the radio, and I don't listen to top 40, don't get me wrong, I don't listen to pop music, but I have a lot of young students that will hip me to various bands and songs and whatever that I would otherwise not be familiar with. And I don't come across with a downer attitude with my students, because I'm there to motivate and try to get them excited about music. But the reality of it all is when they play me these songs and I listen to the drum machines and I listen to the AI developed lyrics and I listen to AI developed songs completely, it doesn't leave much hope for the future for this wonderful instrument, guitar, bass. Man, I wish we could get back to those 70s funk tunes with the killer bass lines. You know, I just love it. I love Steve Harris's galloping Iron Maiden bass lines. I mean, those bass lines are just absolutely legendary. Those rock galloping, those kind of bass lines, legendary. But we're not going to be seeing too much of that anymore. Everything is nowadays. And the bass lines are lame. The drumming is lame. Lyrical content, as I mentioned, lame. The only thing that we can do is to try to keep the legendary old stuff alive. Now, am I an old man, as Rick Beato would say, talking to the clouds? Or, you kids get off my lawn? Maybe a little bit, but hey, I am what I am. I've been in this industry for a long time. I'm just giving you guys the facts. And if you think it's an old man yelling at the clouds and telling kids to get off his lawn, so be it. But I'm gonna try to do my share while I'm alive to keep this instrument and music alive, and I encourage you guys to please do the same. Let's try and keep it alive for a little bit longer. Like I said earlier, I hate to do the doom and gloom, but it's reality. The music industry, rock, it's dead. On that positive and fun note, I want to thank all my new subscribers, and please check out some of my merchandise and let me know what you think about the music industry and how it stands today and what you project for the future. These are just my thoughts. Thanks very much for watching, and as always, keep drumming. See ya.